Hey, what is going on, guys? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here, and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So we're going to talk about a subject matter that many people are definitely fans of when it comes to fragrances, and that's going to be performance. I'm not talking about projection, I'm talking about performance. In other words, how long the fragrance typically lasts on the skin. You got to always remember now, this is going to be different from person to person. This can be different based on the environment. It can be different on a daily basis based on what the weather is or what you're doing for that day, but you can always kind of just average things out. Now, I myself am not a big performance guy. In other words, I don't necessarily rank a fragrance higher or lower out of my overall collection because it performs better or worser than one fragrance over the other. That's just me though. I understand I am in the minority with that. They've done polls on this. The majority of people actually like fragrances that last. So it is what it is. That doesn't mean I don't recognize when I have a fragrance that lasts a long time on my skin. So what I've done is I just kind of picked 8 random ones out of my collection because personally I don't really have performance issues. Now, not every fragrance I have lasts a super long time, but I've got quite a few fragrances that give me more than enough performance on my skin. By the way, just so you know where I'm coming from with performance, anything less than 4 hours is bad performance for me. 4 to 6 is average. 6 to 8 is good. 8 to 10 is excellent. And for me, anything over 10 is beast mode, nuclear, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it could be any number past that, but at that point, for most people are not doing things for 10 hours or more during a day. So for most people, in my opinion, that would be a beast mode fragrance, or at least a very, very good performance fragrance if it's giving you more than 10 hours. And that's just how I like to simplify it. So for this video, all of these fragrances I'm gonna talk about give me a minimum of 10 hours of performance on my skin. As I'm just kind of looking at the list, all of them have pretty much gone well over that. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you like the content, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, first one is going to be coming from Kajal, and it's going to be Masa. Kajal Masa. Now, at this time, I only own 2 fragrances from Kajal, but I do believe Kajal is known to be one of those houses where performance is typically not a point of complaint for a lot of people. This fragrance here is going to be a fruity and patchouli based fragrance for me. There's also some woody notes, some maybe even some resins, and a good amount of vetiver too in the base. It's also rather sweet. The fruitiness I experience kind of like an apple combining with citrus kind of fruitiness. Really pleasant stuff here, a little bit gentlemanly, kind of a really good office fragrance in my opinion. Point being though is that this fragrance here, I get plenty of performance out of this off my skin. Now look, I don't spray a fragrance on and then sit here and like measure throughout the day how long the fragrance lasts. I just tend to notice like, okay, I sprayed this on earlier, it's well past that, I can still pick it up off my skin, so this is the very good performing fragrance. I've certainly gotten that with this, but yeah, I can't give you an exact number, but I could easily say I've definitely gotten well over 12 hours with this on my skin without having to reapply. So once again, from Kajal, this is Masa. All right, next one's gonna be coming from Savoir Faire. This is gonna be Hellaflora. Savoir Faire, Hellaflora. Now this fragrance literally just got released the previous week as of me shooting this video, so it's brand new. It was released in a 3 fragrance release from the house called the Dope Floral Collection. I happen to just like this one the most. Now I've only worn it a couple of times, but I actually sampled it, like sample wore it once, and then I've worn it like 2 or 3 times since I got it just to really get the full experience. And while I can say that this fragrance here is not necessarily a super big projector, it lasts all day on my skin. And if it gets in your clothes, it's kind of the same thing. It's not coming out easily. This is a floral fragrance, as the name suggests. It's kind of a sweet and fruity floral fragrance overall. It does not have a specific fruity smell, but it's just kind of like bright fruitiness coming from some floral notes. I think there's also some yuzu in this as well, if I'm not mistaken. There is some kind of incensey like characteristics. I do get some pepperiness as well, but look, lots of musk. I think there's a good amount of ambroxan in this as well. So it's using notes that tend to stick around on skin for a long time. Smells really nice. It's kind of a sugary, musky dry down in my opinion. That's kind of how I like to describe it. Not gonna be for everyone in my opinion. I do think this leans a little bit feminine, so some guys who may not really like those slightly leaning feminine floral fragrances, this may not be for you, but you can get samples of this to check it out. But one thing is for sure, this fragrance lasts all day on my skin. Again, not a super projector, so it's going to be more of a scent trail, scent bubble, a little bit of a sillage in terms of how people will experience the scent, or even yourself. But I definitely get plenty of longevity off of this. So once again, from Savoir Faire, this is Hellaflora. All right, moving on to one from Wilhelm Parfumerie, and this is gonna be Morning Chess. Wilhelm Parfumerie Morning Chess. Every time I've worn this, it always kind of sticks around on my skin for whatever reason. I've worn this a lot when I had to like travel out of town on a day of work and come back, and it's like 2 to 3 hour drive, and then I'm maybe there for a few hours. So this is all day that I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've worn this a couple of times when I've done that, and I've picked it up the entire time. So this fragrance really sticks on my skin. This is mainly a slightly green leather fragrance, but it makes use of a great juicy bergamot off the top, adding just this really juicy citrus element to it and brightness to the fragrance. But it has a bitter green coming from galbanum, which is a plant resin, and some leathery accords. And then on the dry down, the notes listed are patchouli and black amber. I guess I kind of get the black amber. I don't really feel like I'm getting a whole lot of patchouli from it. I still really just kind of feel like I'm getting that leather. Point being though is that whatever it is, it sticks on my skin all day long, no problem. Easily minimum 10 hours out of this. I love the way this smells, and I thoroughly enjoy the long performance I get out of this scent because I love the way this smells. Once again, from Wilhelm Parfumerie, this is Morning Chess. All right, next one's coming from Xerjoff. This is 40 Knots. Xerjoff 40 Knots. All right, so this here, if you're not familiar with it, this is an ambery scent that has kind of like salty sea air, ocean air kind of qualities to it. Very honeyed type of sweetness, kind of like a phantom spicy feel, maybe slightly powdery as well. Very interesting scent, kind of a weird scent in terms of just what it is, but one thing's for sure, I think most people that have this scent will agree. This stuff here will last on your skin. It just kind of has the characteristic to just stick to human skin, if you will. At least that's how I experience it. I mean, I don't know how long of a performance I get out of this, but anytime I've sprayed this on and it's been a long day, it's always been there near the end. Again, it's ambery and kind of a honeyed style of sweetness, not really vanillic overall. These are things that typically do stick around in a fragrance, particularly if they're used as a heavy base note for the fragrance, and this one is. So it was pretty easy to include this one on a list if I'm going to be talking about performance. Once again, from Xerjoff, this is 40 Knots. All right, we're gonna move on to one coming from Maison Crivelli. This is gonna be Patchouli Magnetik. Maison Crivelli Patchouli Magnetik. All right, so if anybody's ever gotten their nose on this, they know how polarizing this is. You either love this one or hate this one. It is very interesting. Matter of fact, just a quick story here. My wife had a friend over at our house not too long ago. I think she was actually gonna house sit for us. But anyway, she was just smelling some of my fragrances because she always does when she comes over. And she actually smelled this one. And now my wife doesn't really care for this that much. She thought it was amazing. And it just kind of further proves the point. And these are people who are not fragrance enthusiasts. It kind of further proves the point that you either love this one or you hate this one. This is a patchouli fragrance, obviously, but it makes use of a very artificial smelling peach accord that's very strong, very prominent, not really funky, but it's just very present. The patchouli in this, more of the leafy variety, and then there's just a lot of sweet notes, making it a very sweet patchouli fragrance. Again, it's polarizing, but one thing you cannot deny about this scent is this is beast mode, and this one projects very strongly. This one here, you put this on, you are committed to it. It is going to stick around for a very long time. It's going to push off the skin, so go easy on the sprays if you don't want to be overbearing with it. But yeah, performance list, Patchouli Magnetik, they go hand in hand. Once again, from Maison Crivelli, this is Patchouli Magnetik. All right, next one's coming from BDK Parfums, and this is Gris Charnel Extrait. BDK Gris Charnel Extrait. Now, I don't know what the original EDP does in terms of performance. All I know is this one here gives you the performance if that's what you want. Now, it is an extrait, so that kind of makes sense. Higher oil concentration, and some of the notes, or should I say oils used in this, are oils that do tend to stick around for a little bit longer because they're heavy and don't break down as fast. So this is fig, cardamom. It's sweet, it's effervescent. I get a little bit of a booziness from it, but I think that's just how I experience it. Not really boozy notes listed. It also has sandalwood, vanilla. It's probably some vetiver in here. It's sweet, it's warm, it's spicy, it's inviting. A lot of cardamom in this as well too. And the higher oil concentration along with those like vanillic and woody notes that this fragrance has make this fragrance stick around for quite a long time. I would say from a projection standpoint, this one here is still a little bit softer. This one's not really like screaming out at the room, but it does leave one heck of a scent trail. Trust me on that one. And yeah, you'll get plenty of use out of this in terms of the longevity for the fragrance. So once again, from BDK Parfums, we have got Gris Charnel Extrait. All right, next one's coming from Nishane. That's going to be Fan Your Flames. Nishane, Fan Your Flames. Now, Nishane is another house where typically performance is not really a complaint. That being said, I don't know which of my 6 Nishanes at this time I have the most performance from in terms of longevity, but it might be this one. Anytime I spray this on, it is on me. I mean all day, and it pushes off of my skin. I love this stuff. What is this, by the way? It's kind of a tropical tobacco fragrance. Makes use of coconut and rum-like accords, mixing with a nice leafy tobacco with a touch of smokiness to it, but it's more of a cleaner tobacco scent overall, and it's got some very dried woodiness to it. I think there's oak moss and cedar wood. Really lovely stuff. Not gonna be for everyone, but one thing is for sure, this fragrance here is a powerful scent, and it lasts all day on my skin. That's all I can say. I don't know if anyone's ever had this and complained about performance with it, but this stuff, whatever it is, it just sticks around. And again, it's an extrait, as most of the Nishane fragrances are. So, you know, higher oil concentration. If you're using oils that don't break down very fast, they tend to stick around for a lot longer. Once again, from Nishane, this is Fan Your Flames. All right, and last but certainly not least, coming from Amouage, this is Journeyman. Amouage Journeyman. And Amouage is another house where, in general, most people are not really complaining about performance. So this one here is a more kind of, shall we say, nose-friendly tobacco fragrance compared to Fan Your Flames. This one makes use of really nice spice. There's some peppery notes. The tobacco in this is a little bit dirtier too, though. It is kind of more of an ashy tobacco, but you got like tonka bean and ambroxan and maybe even some musk. So I already said tonka bean. So notes, you know, making the fragrance overall a lot sweeter in general. Interestingly enough, when I think of this fragrance, I don't really think about its performance. I don't know why, but as I was putting the video together, I said, I'm gonna pick an Amouage fragrance. And I just kind of looked at Journeyman, and I'm like, you know what? Anytime I've worn this, it's been on my skin like forever. It's never been a problem where the fragrance had to be like reapplied or anything like that. So again, Amouage is a house known for making some fragrances that will stick around for a while. Not all of them, and not all of them maybe will even make that 10-hour mark. But in general, performance, not an issue for Amouage. That's certainly my experience with this one here. So once again, from Amouage, this is Journeyman. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this video. Again, like I said, I'm pretty sure most of you do really care about performance. In other words, you place that high up on your list in terms of what you like in a fragrance. So that being said, put down in the comments below what are some of your best performing fragrances. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Thanks again for watching all the way into the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well. And I'll see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.